Now live. Good morning, City of Gulfport. We are doing a workshop in conjunction with the Small Business Administration on available programs for those who have been adversely affected by Hurricane Zeta. Now, granted, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and there are programs that are available for those who have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, but there are also separate programs for those who had some damage due to Hurricane Zeta. And this morning we have Roberto Baltodano, who is with the SBA, and his goal is to share some information with you to help secure your businesses during this adverse time. If you are not familiar with the SBA, they actually are a federal program, and they help small businesses to be sustainable. There are more small businesses in our country than large ones, and they are definitely the backbone of the US economy. So the goal is that everyone has really strong businesses that last generationally. Before Roberto starts, I'm going to share a quick video with you to let you know a little bit more about the SBA.
An idea, a concept, a plan, a dream. That's how businesses start. With the help of the U.S. Small Business Administration, businesses transform from a home office to a global operation, a double oven setup to a 6-person bakery, concept to manufacturing, and from contemplating closure to not just surviving, but thriving. That's the power of the SBA. We make small business our business by being an ally, an advocate, a mentor, a coach, an educator, a friend to ambitious and passionate entrepreneurs. And we're igniting change, sparking action, so businesses across the nation can confidently start, grow, expand, and recover. SBA, empowering small businesses, empowering the American dream.
So that was a little bit about the SBA, and we actually have an SBA office within our local community in downtown Gulfport within the Hancock Whitney building. You will find counselors there who are more than willing to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. And now we're going to give Roberto the floor. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section on this Facebook live stream. When we get to the end, I will read off the questions to ensure that Roberto can give you an answer before you log off.
Thank you, LaShaundra. Thank you so much. And thank you to the city for this opportunity. And obviously to the constituency, to the public, to the members of the community for joining us and listening to this important information. That video basically sets the mood, if you will, in terms of what the SBA can do for you. We're there for you every day. As the video said, we're advocates, we are mentors, we're a coach, and we are educators in terms of how to start a business, anything from writing a business plan to opening the doors, and most importantly, to growing and leading you to success. What we do free. And so we do it in coordination with partners throughout the community, including the cities. And so it is important that as you gather information that I'm going to share today in terms of how the SBA helps after a disaster, you keep in mind that you can keep that lifeline, if you will, and that relationship, and we hope you do, thereafter, in how to grow that business, keep you open, and as you said, make it a multi-generational business. It is our goal. And so thanks again for that opportunity. I'm going to be sharing a presentation, and give me 2 seconds. And this is going to be specifically for Hurricane Zeta recovery, how the SBA, in coordination with a wide range of partners, can provide you assistance in the form of disaster loans, affordable, low interest, long-term disaster loans. And so we're going to go through that. If I can move this, there we go. And so the agenda basically will tell you a little bit about us. I'll expand a little bit about what I just said. I'll tell you who am I and what team do I work for within the SBA, which is the Office of Disaster Assistance, known as ODA. And then we'll talk a little bit about available programs and services, specifically to Hurricane Zeta recovery. Last but not least, I'm going to get to what we came here for, which is to encourage you to apply and get the help you need. And last, I'm going to give you then a set of resources that you can take away, and we're going to open the floor for any questions you may have. So the Small Business Administration, we are a federal agency. We have been serving the American public since the 1950s. And so I belong to the Office of Disaster Assistance, again, ODA. And what we do is we provide affordable, low interest, long-term disaster loans to businesses of all sizes, private nonprofit organizations, homeowners, and renters. And this is so that you can repair or replace real estate, personal property, machinery, equipment, inventory, and business assets that may have been damaged or destroyed by, in this case, Hurricane Zeta. And so with that in mind, we are a team that are sitting across the nation. When you submit an application, I want to make sure that I highlight that. You see the top and the bottom left offices, the Customer Service Center in Buffalo, New York, and the Processing and Disbursement Center in Fort Worth are the two centers that you're going to be communicating with, if you will, in terms of your application. Yet the entire team will be working behind the scenes to make that happen. But I want to make sure you understand how the process works in a moment. And so at least now you know. Upstate New York is our Customer Service Center, and Central Texas, North Central Texas is where the Processing and Disbursement Center is located at. We are the Region 4, and we basically serve Southeast United States. We are based out of Atlanta, and that is the Office of Disaster Assistance, and cover those states that are listed on the screen. Anytime there is a disaster, we deploy typically to the communities, and we are door to door offering you this information. Because of current conditions, we offer them virtually. And so we are connecting with you, obviously, through presentations like this, and we are only one phone call away. The fact that we are not on the ground doesn't mean that we are not with you. So we are, again, one phone call away. And if you pay close attention, at the bottom of each one of the slides that I'm going to be sharing today, you will have means to get in touch with us. And in this case, FEMA, because it is a presidential declaration. You have FEMA and SBA on the ground providing assistance. And so what happens once disaster strikes? You know, all of the SBA resources, what I said is what we do, we don't do alone, come together in order to provide you with assistance. These resources are SBA regional and district offices, SBDCs, which is small business development centers, women business centers, and SCORE, which is a team of retired professionals that provide mentoring. Any one of these partners can help you reconstruct financial records, prepare financial statements, and most importantly, complete that SBA loan application at no cost. And so be sure to reach out to us. And again, you have our number at the bottom to get all of these components together and submit that application as soon as possible. We also provide you with a guidance in terms of your loan application process when you are approved or declined, or when the application is withdrawn. And so what do we mean by that? Obviously, the approval is a very simple term. The declinations can occur for something as simple as having the wrong zip code, or a typical reason for having a declination is because you didn't include a phone number, or a valid phone number, or a valid email for us to get back in touch with you once that application is submitted. And so be sure to pay attention when you're filling in your application to make sure we do have valid contact information to be able to get back with you. And then obviously withdrawn is when we provide you with an action. Stay on top of your email, be aware of your phone, because if we call you or email you with a particular request, there is a time frame attached to that request. And if you don't reply within that allowed time frame, your application will go into a withdrawal stage. It is not deleted, it is not closed, it is not, just forgotten. It simply goes into a withdrawal stage, which means you will have to contact us in order to reactivate it, obviously by providing that information that we requested. And so again, these are some of the items you need to keep in mind when navigating the application process. Again, our partners can provide you with management and counseling services. As the video explained, we're there on a day-to-day basis. And we do that not only when disaster strikes, but throughout the life of your business. Our purpose today is to be able to provide you with assistance for your long-term recovery process after Hurricane Zeta. Last but not least, we rely on these partners in order to find suitable locations whenever we need to open business recovery centers. As I said, we're typically on the ground, and when we do, we need those valuable locations. And so these resources are coordinated with our partners in the community. Programs and service information for hurricane setup recovery, as I said before. This is a presidential declaration, and so we have a set of primary counties and adjacent counties. And so primary counties you have them on screen. These are George, Greene, Hancock, Harrison County, Jackson, and Stone in Mississippi. All of these counties are eligible for both physical and economic injury disaster loans. And I'll expand on what these type of loans are in a moment. Adjacent counties, and so these are the ones in Forest, Pearl River, Perry, and Wayne in Mississippi, Mobile and Washington in Alabama, and St. Tammany Parish in Louisiana are eligible only for SBA economic disaster loans, which is in essence working capital. And so small businesses and most private nonprofit organizations in these adjacent counties are eligible to apply only for SBA economic injury loans. Something important to keep in mind, and I highlighted on this slide and the next one, is the filing deadlines. Physical damage applications need to be in by March 1st, 2021, midnight on March the 1st. And economic injury applications, which is working capital, you have up until midnight on October the 1st, 2021. That's important. And again, deadlines are kept at the bottom, and you'll see them again later down the presentation. Interest rate. Why should you get into debt in order to help yourself get out of a disaster? And so we always speak about how the SBA comes in and scoops you in and helps you get going on that long-term recovery. And one of the ways we do that is by being flexible and providing you very affordable long-term low interest rates. And so for physical disaster loans, homeowners and renters get as low as 1.188. Businesses of all sizes can get as low as 3%. Nonprofit organizations can get it as low as 2.75%, 2.75%. And so that is one of the key factors we have in order to provide you with that affordable way of getting into a long-term recovery plan. The economic injury disaster loans, it's as low as 3% for small businesses and small agricultural cooperatives, and 2.75% for nonprofit organizations. These are one of several ways we can help you, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Our loan products. So physical disaster loans, these are primarily for businesses and private nonprofits to be able to repair or replace real estate, equipment, furniture, all of those assets that you need in order to have your business open the doors and be operable once again. You can apply for up to $2 million of physical disaster loans. And economic injury disaster loans is again for small businesses and private nonprofits. This is working capital. And so this is to be able to sustain those obligations that you're unable to sustain because of the hurricane. Say your lease on the building or equipment, be able to maintain those operating costs that will allow you to open the doors, yet you need the capital. Working capital, you can get up to $2 million of working capital through the economic injury disaster loans. And then for homeowners, we have the physical disaster loans. This is to repair or replace real property. So I spoke about being a presidential declaration and how you have FEMA on the ground and SBA. You have to, and I will say this again down the line, you have to first register with FEMA and then apply with SBA. And the reason you have to first register with FEMA is because FEMA has grants. These are not loans. This is money that's coming your way for you to make quick repairs in your home, to make your home livable, to fix a door, to fix a window, to patch a roof, to make sure you have a safe place to stay so you can gather your thoughts, get all the stuff you need together in order to start looking into that long-term recovery plan. And so you go to FEMA first, and then you come to us and you apply for a physical disaster loans, which will help you then make those long-term repairs or replacements of real property, including automobiles. So that's important. Now, renters can apply for up to $40,000, and that includes contents, whether you lost a computer, whether you had losses on furniture and those personal property, items of value. Renters can apply for up to $40,000, and homeowners can apply for up to $200,000. Homeowners can apply for a combination of the two: physical disaster loans to repair or replace real property and personal property. Last but not least, we offer a mitigation funding. So we don't want you to just get up and go after a disaster. We want you to rebuild stronger and to be more resilient. And so we offer mitigation funding so that you are able to have those mitigation projects, such as putting hurricane shutters on your small business or your home, raising the property to make sure that you mitigate the effects of a flood, installing a sump pump. Those things that you need in order to have your property protected against future damages in disasters that may come up. And this is up to 20% of the verified physical damage. And this is verified by SBA in coordination with the local authorities. Homeowners, again, are limited to the $200,000 mark. It is important to understand that mitigation loan funding may not be used to upgrade or expand a business or a home or to make additions. This is, again, to protect your property against future damages in upcoming disasters. Okay. Are there any questions up to now, LaShaundra, in relation to this?
I only have one comment on the, I'm not really sure what he's asking, so I'm going to ask a follow-up question to see what the concern is.
Okay, good. And we'll get to the question Q&A session then. So eligibility and restriction, this is important. So we spoke about the affordable long-term, low interest, long-term loans. We look at credit history. We look at your credit rating, although we don't take your credit rating as the sole basis to qualify you into a loan, into an SBA loan. We do look at it, and we do look at it in order to determine your financial standing and your ability to repay. And so those two factors are the key factors that are driving our decision-making and how we can get you into an SBA loan that can best fit your needs. Again, your credit history, you must have that credit history that is acceptable to SBA. And notice how the language is very simple. And that is because, as opposed to how the standard loans work in the banking industry, we don't have that strict methodology in following it. We're a little more lenient, and we work with you. Obviously, that is the conversation you will have with your loan officer in what, in terms of your credit history, is what your challenges and opportunities are for us to determine then your ability to repay. And from there, we establish the terms. Okay, important in terms of restrictions to understand that only uninsured or otherwise uncompensated, and there's a mistake there, Tropical Storm Eta, in this case is Hurricane Zeta, so pardon me for that. So only uninsured or otherwise uncompensated Hurricane Zeta related losses are deemed eligible by this declaration. Secondary homes or vacation properties, being that we are in the Gulf, many of you may own that. Personal pleasure boats, airplanes, recreational vehicles, and similar property may not be eligible unless it is used for business purposes. And again, that is a conversation that you need to have with your loan officer if you have a secondary home or property that you wish to have included on your loan. We're going to determine whether or not it is used for business purposes, and you may qualify it in that sense. Applicants who have not complied with the terms of a previous SBA loan agreement may not be eligible. And notice how we continue to bold that word may. It is subject to a conversation, even if you have had an SBA loan in the past and you may have had difficulties with it. Come over, let's talk about it. Let's see how we can get you into a modification loan to get you back going. The idea is to get the community back in track. And this includes then borrowers who may have not maintained flood and hazard insurance. That's important. And so on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about flood and hazard insurance. And here we go. Collateral and insurance. And so physical loans under the $25,000 mark will require collateral. Economic injury loans over the $25,000 mark require collateral and can be up to $50,000 of unsecured disaster business loans. It's a combination of the physical and economic injury loans. Now, important to keep in mind is that while we do require collateral, we will not decline a loan because of a lack of collateral. We're going to do our best to secure collateral and will require it if available. And so we're going to, in essence, ask you to pledge what's available. Borrowers whose damage or collateral property is in a special flood hazard area, and by this, it's practically all of us. I live in Florida, and so we are obviously exposed to a lot of those hazards. We are required to purchase and maintain flood insurance. Very bottom of that screen, I have it in red letters, floodsmart.gov. If you haven't, I encourage you to visit that and explore that opportunity. You'd be surprised how flexible and affordable those programs are. And so we encourage you to look at that because it'll be part of the conversation when you apply for an SBA loan. In the event then that you apply, the SBA will require you to have flood insurance coverage, and that be the lesser of either the total of the disaster loan or the insurable value of the property or the maximum insurance available. That again is going to be a conversation that you can have with your loan officer. And by the way, this is quite a lot of information. This presentation will be available through a recorded session across channels for the city, and you can come back to it, or you can just give us a call. So again, the benefits of an SBA disaster loan: we're a cash flow lender, so we're providing working capital to the small business community. We do so by means of low interest rates, no cost to apply, no closing costs. As a matter of fact, there are no costs associated with either submitting an application or withdrawing an application. And if you are approved, you can take the loan in segments. You don't have to take the loan if you want to. You can withdraw it again or pay early without any penalties. And the terms are flexible of up to 30 years. Funds are available prior to an insurance settlement. And this is one of the key points. If you by any chance currently have a pending insurance claim, you can go ahead and apply with SBA right now. Obviously, we'll talk about what your insurance claim is about. Funding will come your way from SBA if approved. Once you get those resources from insurance, you utilize that money to repay the SBA loan. In other words, you don't have to wait for that insurance response in order to get going with your recovery. You may be eligible for refinancing or relocation. That is a conversation, if indeed you are in one of those two situations, we encourage you to have with your loan officer, because we may be able to help you with refinancing and relocating, whether it is voluntary or involuntary relocation. You may apply for mitigation funds, as I said before, and we encourage you to do this. Think about the future and the what if. The first payment is deferred. This is one of the most important benefits of an SBA disaster loan. You don't have to make a single payment for a whole year from the date in which you signed that promissory note. So that is very important, because as a business owner, you know how important it is for you to be able to produce that revenue and get yourself afloat in order to then start looking at your obligation with SBA. Well, we'll give you an entire year to do that. Damage estimates are not required, and this is in reference to, again, when you're applying for repairs or replacing, that damaged property, or when you're looking into mitigation. We're going to have that conversation, and estimates are not required as part of the process. If there is federal and or state assistance available, that may stop, that may reach an end. And so that's why you should consider having a safety net of an SBA disaster loan. Whether or not you think you will need it, we encourage you to apply for it. Go through the motions, if you will, of the loan, because as I said before, at the end of the day, if approved, you don't have to take it, but you have it as an added resource for that long-term recovery, as a safety net. You may be eligible for referral to grant programs. In the event where find you ineligible for an SBA loan, we will guide you through additional resources. Being that FEMA is on the ground, we're going to refer you back to FEMA, because FEMA has other grants that may assist you. And last but not least, the most important thing, again, you have no obligation whatsoever to take the loan if approved. And so these are some of the benefits I'd love for you to keep in mind and consider. And if at the end of the day, whether you aren't sure if you have enough damages, or if you don't know whether you or not you are ready for that, just come to us and let's have a conversation, because at the end of the day, you can walk away without any benefit, without any obligation to take a loan or any fees associated with the conversation you had with us. So here, the most important slide of today. Why is it that you should apply, and how can you do that? So again, this is a presidential declaration, and so you have 2 steps to do that. The first one is register with FEMA by visiting disasterassistance.gov, calling FEMA or rather downloading the FEMA mobile app and downloading it through their app. If you don't have access to internet, you can call our partners at FEMA at 800-621-3362, and then apply with SBA. So this is a 1-2 punch. Register with FEMA, apply with SBA by visiting sba.gov/disaster. Paper loan applications may also be obtained by contacting our virtual disaster loan outreach center. That's a mouthful. There's a group of people that are standing behind the phone. 7 days a week. We're open Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And these are experts, SBA loan experts that are there to answer your questions or to facilitate paper loan applications if you so desire. You can reach us by calling 800-659-2955 or by emailing us at foce-help@sba.gov. And again, this slide, along with everything else, will be available through the city website. Important to keep those deadlines in mind, Physical damages by March the 1st, economic injury by October the 1st, 2021. And I'll leave you with this, some resources, and most importantly, I encourage you to be prepared. And so again, you can visit sba.gov/disaster, give us a call for one-on-one expert support, and most importantly, visit ready.gov/business or ready.gov/plan to know what you can do to be better prepared for the next disaster. And by now, LaShaundra, we're going to open it up for the Q&A session.
All right, so I have one question from Peyton.
Okay.
He says, I have a $500,000 home that was 3/4 destroyed, and I have a limit of $200,000 only.
So again, this is a conversation that you will have because we're going to look at if you had insurance resources. If not, then you also have FEMA on the ground. It is a combination of these three factors, your insurance, what FEMA can do, and what SBA can do in order to help you get back on your feet. Getting you back to a new normal, and that's important to understand. After a disaster, it is important to have those insurance proceeds and those insurance benefits. If not, then the federal government will do its best to get you back to a new normal. However, I encourage you to reach out to us. Don't let the fact that you see that $200,000 cap discourage you from applying. It is a safety line. It is something you can rely on. And so I encourage you to reach out to us.
Okay, thank you. I have another question that has come in that says, from Vicky, she says, does this help with repairs that insurance does not cover?
Most definitely. And so it is those uninsured losses that I spoke about. That's a conversation I recommend having with your loan officer because it all depends on the items and the type of losses you may be referring to. Obviously, we'll not be able to discuss the particulars on this call, but I encourage you to reach out. Again, there are no fees to apply and there is no obligation to take a loan if at the end you're approved. And so by all means, sba.gov/disaster and apply.
Okay, awesome. So let me ask this. Once a person goes through the application process and they click that submit button, what happens next? What is the process after that?
That's a great question because when you click on that submit, you're looking at a screen. And so you think, well, there it goes. And you believe that there is no one behind. There's an army of people. If you remember that map, that slide where we showed the map, where we have offices throughout the country, upstate New York is our customer service center. North Central Florida is our disbursement and processing center. The people in North Central Texas are going to get that application, and someone is going to be looking at your credit history, that credit rating that I spoke to you about, start gathering information and validating that information that you put in on the application in order for us to be able to set up, if you will, the grounds for the subsequent conversation. Within a matter of a few weeks, 2-3 weeks, depending on the number of applications that we're getting, you will get a call from a loan officer. And this is going to be a dedicated loan officer that will be there for the life of your loan. That person then is going to engage in the conversation that we spoke about, in talking about your ability to repay, in talking about uninsured losses, in talking about, whether or not you want to get into mitigation funding. And so be ready. I recommend that once you click on submit, go back and review the application, actually review it before, but then take a second look at your application to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row and you have that conversation well put together. So when you get the call from SBA, you can expedite the process by allowing us to get that information quicker. And so that normally takes anywhere from a few weeks. Our intention is to get a loan approval process and disbursed with a shortest amount of time, obviously, depending on the information you provide or not.
Awesome. Another question if somebody is already getting assistance or utilizing another grant, can they still apply for this program as well?
We encourage you to do so. However, our advice in that sense is to please go to the agency that is managing the grant for you. Whatever agency issued that grant to you, you need to have a conversation with them and let them know that you're going to apply for an SBA loan and find out if and how an SBA loan may affect the grant. That is an important and key question you need to make to whomever is managing that grant.
So I'm not sure if this, I know that this loan is used if people need to restore something or even for mitigation,
Okay.
but what if they want to relocate? Could these funds be used to help them move their business?
Whether it is a voluntary or involuntary relocation, we may be able to assist. And so, yes, because of the nature of the disasters that we're getting over the last 4 or 5 years, they've been getting more complex, more intense. And so some individuals, whether it is a business and or individual, may be contemplating relocation. And so reach out to us, make sure that on your application, you provide that information that you're interested in discussing relocation assistance so that your loan officer will be able to do that. That's why it's important, I said, sit down and think about all of your needs and think about all of the potential needs that you may have on an SBA loan. And so, yes, we may be able to help you relocate, whether it is voluntarily or involuntarily.
That's really fantastic
Yep.
because that location is no longer available if they feel like it's not safe to be building that.
Yeah, and since Hurricane Katrina, we have obviously experienced quite a lot of relocation in terms of families who were involuntarily relocated, or they chose to simply go to a family member inland or somewhere else, and hence the reason why this is part of the assistance again today.
It's fantastic.
Yep.
So what if somebody says, I want to make sure that my building or my home is in a better position? Can they use these funds for things like hurricane shutters?
Most definitely. And we encourage you to do that because it is what's going to save the day when the next disaster strikes. It's not if, but when. And so, yes, we encourage you to consider that. I think, and I recommend that you reach out to your local emergency management office. They are better positioned to give you good advice in terms of what your local hazards are, because you need to keep in mind what your local exposure to hazards are to design a good mitigation plan. And that is something that your local emergency manager can assist you with. And then obviously come to us for the funding.
Well, thank you. I'm looking over to see if we have any more comments or questions for you.
And while you do that, I know that you have a significant Vietnamese and Hispanic population. So if there is anyone out there who speaks either one of the two languages and you have the ability to provide us with a forum to present these to either one of those two communities, give us a call, the 1-800-659-2955, and ask to be connected with a resource from SBA that can assist you with providing this presentation to your local community. That is what I'm here for, to amplify the message and to get it across, and most importantly, to the fiber of the community. And if you're listening out there, you're it. You're the one that can get us through that fiber of the community.
Well, thank you so much. I don't see any more questions. I had one person who had a comment specifically about trees or fences, but since that's a detail that can be asked of the loan officer, she probably get some more thorough answers there.
And there are limitations in that. There are certain distances that, where the trees and the fences need to be in relation to the property. So yes, don't let it be a deterrent to apply. Apply and make sure that as part of your application, you do have that conversation with the loan officer about trees and fences, because it is something that we may be able to help as well, depending on the location of these items. That's a good question. Yep.
Fantastic. You have covered all the questions that were presented in the comment section. So thank you so much for your time today, Roberto. It was very valuable information. And as he stated earlier, this video will be available across the City of Gulfport social media platforms. So you will see it on our LinkedIn, our YouTube channel. And of course, they'll continue to be housed here. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to the SBA and FEMA in regards to the assistance that is available for you.
Yep, and at the bottom of this slide, again, you have our numbers, the SBA and FEMA rather. If you have any more questions, you can call either one of the two agencies. our teams are equipped to either answer or provide or facilitate an answer for any questions you may have. And thank you again, LaShaundra, to you and the city, and most importantly, to your citizens for being here today.
Yes. Thank you all. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out to the City of Gulfport. Thank you.
Thank you.